Have you ever felt like you've only been taught one side of history? Like you're learning part of the truth, but something is missing? Join us as we explore the lesser-known side of history. I'm Tucker, he's Wild Bill, and this is Half Sober History. Alrighty, welcome to the Half Sober History podcast.
Good evening.
How you doing, Bill?
Never bad. You know me.
So I'm Tucker, this is Wild Bill. This is us 4 episodes into this, and I'm kind of shocked that we've made it this far.
Yeah, we're still cooking.
We're still cooking. We're doing okay, and all the glory to God on this one, because seriously, it's not coming out of this old noggin right here.
Oh, well, mine neither.
So I just want to tell all our listeners thank you. I mean, we sure as heck appreciate you guys. We're just looking at it today, and it looks like there's a decent amount of people that are starting to find an interest in this. So thank you very much for taking an interest, and we hope we continue to please.
Yeah, entertain, educate, all the above.
Yep, exactly. So
for us too, we're getting an education.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this. Every time I do one of these episodes, I study up quite a bit on that day's topic. And Bill, of course, he's just a studious guy, I guess, a studious guy.
So I learned a lot last time with Ethan. That was cool.
That's true.
Yeah, if you guys an awful lot.
Haven't listened to that episode, go back and listen to it. We talked about the guillotine and the Halifax gibbet and the French Revolution, and it was a pretty interesting one.
Yeah, it was.
So give us a follow on Instagram if you could. I do all sorts of entertaining videos on there, and I also do kind of a short educational synopsis of each one of these podcasts that we do, each one of these episodes. And then also, I'd love it if you followed us on Patreon. It's free. Or if you want to, you can pay us $1 a month to follow us on there. And like I always say, I don't know why you would, but if you want to, then I ain't going to complain about it. Okay. And then lastly, we'd love it if everyone who's listened to a few episodes and enjoyed it, just if you could give us a 5-star rating on Spotify. Those do kind of help. They stack up, and they tell Spotify that they can kind of prompt more people to come and check us out.
Nice. Cool.
Okay. You ready to jump into the history, man?
I am ready.
Okay, so this is for those of you who are first-time listeners, we do 15 questions. So pretty much what this is we choose a person, place, thing, or a event. And so Bill asks me 15 yes or no questions, and then he tries to guess the topic of today's study. Okay. So today we are doing a person.
All right.
So that's the first question, and then take it from here, man.
Okay. Is it a man?
It is a man.
Okay.
So right there, you're down to half the population historically.
Yeah, we're doing good. Were they born before 1900?
They were.
Okay. Were they born before 1700?
Yes.
Okay. In the United States?
They were not born in the United States.
Okay. All right.
Which isn't surprising, because before the 1700s, most of the world was still
that's a fact.
Not in the United States. We're pretty egocentric here, aren't we?
European?
Yeah.
Okay.
Born in Europe.
Okay. British Isles?
Not on the British Isles.
Okay. So prior to 1700, not on the British Isles, but Europe.
Yes.
Okay. Western Europe? France, Germany, Spain, Italy?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Artistic? Writer, composer, artist?
No.
Okay. So that means they're a political figure.
You just drew a huge conclusion right there.
I don't know.
I guess they weren't a writer or composer, so they had to have been
a political figure.
No.
Okay. Famous for a single event or multiple?
Yeah, they're pretty much famous for a single event. Now that event took place over a while, but yeah, it was just really everyone knows them today for that one event.
Ooh, okay. All right. Moving on here.
You got 7 questions left.
Philosopher or religious leader?
No.
Okay. Huh. Not really narrowing it down here.
But if you did figure out what they did, then you just like that, you'd know.
So famous businessman or industrialist?
No.
Okay. So not an artist, not a philosopher, not an industrialist.
No, not a religious leader,
Businessman.
not a politician. I mean, so far you figured out what they're not, but you haven't figured out what they are.
Okay. I'm thinking, but I'm not thinking very hard here.
Well, I got you on the first episode, and then you went 2 episodes back to back figuring it out. And so now I'd feel pretty good if I stumped you again.
You got no problem stumping me. Let's see here.
You got 5 questions left.
Okay. Man, there's just so many people to choose from here.
Yeah, there is.
There's too many. Okay.
Oh, you could narrow down the country, you could narrow down the year, you could narrow down what they did.
All right. So prior to 1700.
Yeah. And we know it's Western Europe, and we know a huge list of things that they weren't, and we know that it was a man.
So were they born after 1500? That's a interesting.
No,
Okay.
but I had to look it up.
Ah.
So take that under consideration.
Okay. Were they Italian specifically?
Yes, they were.
Okay. But they were not a religious leader. And
No.
Then they were not an artist.
No. You got 3 more questions.
Were they an inventor?
They were not an inventor. No.
Okay, so that rules out Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah. He was the inventor, right? That definitely rules him out.
Yeah, he was.
Flying machine.
But somehow
he did a little bit of everything, but
Yeah, he
we would
did.
have had to rule him out as an artist as well.
But somehow in that same time period,
Yeah.
and Michelangelo was an artist. He wasn't. He was a sculptor, but that's a form of art.
That's a form of art. Yep.
Okay.
Well, you're on the right track. You got 2 more questions.
Okay. So somewhere around that same era. And he wasn't a religious guy, so it couldn't have been one of the popes. Shoot. Yeah, I am unless it was one of the Borgias or something, or
Well, you got 2 more questions. It might be worthwhile to see if you can figure out what he did, or
I'm having a. He wasn't a businessman in commerce.
no. I think we already
We already did that one.
settled that.
I gotta throw in the towel here, dude.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not coming to you.
No.
Well, I'm going to give you 2 hints.
Okay.
I'll ask your last yes or no questions here.
Okay.
So, was he born in the 15th century? Yes.
So
1400 to 1500. Yeah, 1400 to 1500.
Oh, I thought you answered no to that question earlier. So I was thinking somebody born after.
Oh, shoot. You know what? You're right.
Oh, shoot.
You're right. No,
So they were born in 14 something.
what did you ask earlier? I thought you.
I said were they born before 1500?
Yes, they were.
Oh, okay.
I could have
okay.
sworn I said yes, but if I said no,
Okay.
does that open anything else up?
Mm-hmm.
They're born in the 1400s.
So it's not Christopher Columbus.
Are you asking?
I'm just thinking about famous Italians.
It's Christopher Columbus.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
So I probably did tell you no, they weren't. Well, anyway, if I messed that up,
No, it's
I'm
all right.
sorry.
It's all right.
But
I was narrowing it down.
there you go. You're 3 for 4 on these.
Okay.
Man,
All
you're
right.
pretty good at this.
Well, after all the clues and the hints and everything else, I'll
Yeah.
eventually get it.
Christopher Columbus.
All
Well,
right.
let's talk about Chris.
Cool.
Okay. Should be a fun one.
Yeah.
First, so I'm going to take this one in an interesting direction. We're going to talk about what America was like at the time because Christopher Columbus, he's not famous for discovering America, but he is famous for setting up a transatlantic route or transatlantic trade to America. He didn't discover it.
Well, they've kind of, I mean, when I was a kid, they said he did, but they've kind of come around to realizing the Vikings were here before he was. The Chinese were here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Indians were here. I mean, there was a whole civilization here.
Of course, yeah.
The
First
Aztecs,
European,
the
the first
Incas.
European, I guess.
Yeah, so I mean, we can talk about some other people who discovered it. There was we know that let's see, Leif Erikson or Leif Erikson.
Mm-hmm.
I think you say Leif.
Leif.
That sounds right. Leif
Yeah.
Erikson.
Yeah.
He reached the North America around 1000 BC.
Okay.
1080.
You sure? You sure this time? No.
80. Man, I'm struggling with the dates today. This is a little bit tricky.
No, it's all good.
I also read up on some Norse groups that had settlements in Greenland, which is now, Europe, but technically considered that was, half of the voyage right there, getting towards the Americas. So they were on Greenland in the 10th century, and then the Lanso Meadows. Do you know about that?
Oh, I don't know.
It might help you if I show the spelling. Look at this. Lance O Meadows. But anyway, they were it was ruins of a Viking settlement in Newfoundland, Canada.
Okay.
So obviously there was Norse presence a long time before Columbus.
Yeah, and they're not really sure who built the mounds in Ohio, and they found evidence all along the Great Lakes where Vikings landed. There was, I think it was copper mining they were doing throughout that region. Yeah, they found a bunch of stuff they were pulling out of there.
Yeah,
kind of cool.
I thought the mound people were indigenous people. I thought they were.
And I don't know.
Okay,
maybe they were, maybe they weren't.
Well, anyways, all to the point of the Americas at the time, there were people here in central Mexico. There was the Aztecs, right? They had a whole empire going on. There
could have even been I don't, not to get too far on a conspiracy level, but there could have been Phoenicians here. There could have been Egyptians. I mean,
yeah. Well, that was so long ago that
Right.
civilization could have come and died.
Oh, absolutely.
But they believe most of these people that were here at the time, the Aztecs, the Incas, and all the Indians that were in North America and Canada, like when I say North America, the U.S. and Canada, right? In the States and Canada, they trace most of those people genetically back to people from the Far East.
Yes.
Like Russia, China.
Yep.
Mongols.
Mongolian.
Yeah, and they believe that when the Bering Land Bridge existed, that they kind of just walked on over,
They sure could have, just on frozen tundra.
Yeah, not only
Ice.
that, not only the people, but there's animals too that indicate that, that land bridge did exist and that the people came across from there. So that's what most of these people genetically traced their lineage back to.
Very true.
Was the Mongols, the Russians, and the Chinese.
Very true. So Chris Columbus was kind of a Johnny-come-lately, a little bit.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like
nobody knew that.
No, they didn't. I mean, he thought he was in India.
Right.
Yep. So
that's why they're called Indians, right?
Exactly. That's exactly why.
Because when he saw the indigenous people, he thought he was in India.
Yeah. So the whole population altogether in the Aztec Empire, they estimate they had roughly 20 million people. The Inca Empire was 10 to 15 million. In North America, so the U.S. and Canada, they were about 4 million people. And then in the Caribbean, they had about 4 million as well through the Bahamas and all the islands down there.
That's a lot of folks.
Yeah. Yeah, they kind of disappeared pretty quick when the white men showed up.
Yeah, with smallpox and
Oh yeah,
all that measles and all that
exactly.
good stuff.
Well, it's just
Plus they were killing each other off at a famine, and whatever else.
yeah. There's a lot that went into
There's
that.
a lot of wars.
I mean, they were
a lot of wars been going
a
on for a
warring
long
people.
time.
Yep, exactly.
Long time
So
before we showed up.
let's talk about Christopher Columbus now. Now that we've kind of set the stage of what it was like in America, the place that he ended up in.
So 1492.
1492 is when he sailed, but it took a long time for him to get to that point, and that's what we're going to kind of dive into. Here's his life story, and he was one of those guys that kind of just adopted the slogan, "If you put your mind to it, you could accomplish anything." Yeah, because he came from very humble beginnings. So
I don't know much about his
Yeah.
beginnings, actually.
we're going to talk about it right here. So
Cool.
Christopher Columbus, he did 4 transatlantic voyages from Spain starting in 1492. And his whole intent of setting out was to find a faster route to Asia.
Mhm.
But instead, he made landfall in the Caribbean. And he was born in 1451 in Genoa, Italy. And Italy at the time was like the powerhouse through the Mediterranean of world exploration.
So I wonder why he couldn't get funding from his own government, so that's why he went to Spain. Is that right?
Yeah, we'll jump
Okay.
into that.
Okay.
So in the mid 1400s, Italy, it was divided into city-like states.
Mhm.
They were kind of like Vaticans, but on steroids. They were just a lot bigger. I mean, I know the Vatican's still a powerhouse, obviously.
Yeah.
They got all the papal authority that comes from there, but
Kind of just little individual governments in each region.
yeah, exactly. Each region was kind of its own city-state, right? So they had Florence, Milan, and the Republic of Venice were the 3 big ones, and then the papal state was also a big one even back then.
Yeah, even then.
And then the
Especially then.
the biggest kingdom in Italy was the southern kingdom of Naples and Sicily.
Okay.
So some interesting things that happened during the 1400s. In Europe, they invented the oil painting in 1420, the map globe in 1492. So up to that point, all maps were done on a 2D space.
Mhm.
And that year, they were able to figure out that that actually happened in Nuremberg,
Oh,
a
interesting.
city famous for a lot of
Yeah.
other things. Yeah,
Yeah.
like the Nuremberg trials. They'd
Sure.
happen, 500 years down the road. But back then, Martin Beheim, he figured out the first 3D globe map of the world. And at the time, the most well regarded theory was that the world was kind of pear shaped.
Oh,
Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah, they didn't think it was a perfect sphere. They thought that it kind of was pear shaped around the equator.
Well, and it's really not a perfect sphere, but
No,
to
but
the naked eye it is. But yeah.
yeah, I mean,
So maybe they were plugging in their math and realizing that it was kind of an egg shape, but it's not as egg shaped as they thought it was, or something. Who knows?
yeah, they were trying to figure out latitude and longitude for sailing, and at the time they came up with a pretty good system and started getting measurements
From the stars.
from the stars and mostly from the sun for how just the time of day and everything. They were
Figuring out the
able to-
wobble of the earth and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean they were really pretty advanced. They also created the anemometer. Do you know what that is? Yeah, it measures wind speed.
Okay.
So they would use that a lot for sailing as well. Leonardo da Vinci.
What was the astrolabe? And they had what's the
Telescope?
sextant?
Oh,
Yeah, all
I
that
think
kind of
that was
stuff.
from a while before.
Was that later or before? I don't know.
What's your guess?
I don't know. I think it was. I think it was probably around the same time. They probably had to use all those things to get around. I would imagine.
Sextant was way later on. That was 1730.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So a while before that popped up, but they had the anemometer, like I mentioned. Leonardo da Vinci conceptualized and built a parachute. They came up with whiskey over in Scotland.
That's the best one of all.
Yeah. It's probably
had they not invented that, we'd be like the Jetsons by now. Had we not been
way in the future.
Well, no, we'd be far advanced if whiskey hadn't held us all down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
and muzzle-loaded rifles. So that was kind of the picture of what was going on
All right.
in Europe. Meanwhile, across the pond, over in the Americas, up to that point, they had invented staple crops, boats, brewed willow bark for pain relief, snowshoes, and hammock beds instead of sleeping on the ground. So they were right up there, pretty similar.
We're saying the same level, yeah. Circumnavigating the globe, and it makes
Parachutes,
really coming along.
anemometers, muzzle-loaded rifles. I mean, we were all kind of. So the only reason I bring that up is to illustrate when Christopher Columbus showed up, he was a god to the people.
Yeah.
I mean, they just looked at this ship
they thought he was
and
Quetzalcoatl, or not him, but the guys at Pizarro or whoever first showed up down to actual South America. They thought he was Quetzalcoatl to come back.
wasn't it Cortez?
Maybe.
Yeah,
Could be. Yeah.
So yeah, just to kind of paint the picture that I mean the old world and then what would end up being referred to as the new world, the Americas, they were on a totally different playing field.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they absolutely were. One side note that I learned recently. So the Muslims had kind of come in and had taken over Spain and Portugal, that whole area. And, El Cid came down from the mountains with his knights. They were kind of kicking the Muslims out. But Spain was so fractured at the time that to unite all the different kingdoms, they married people from different kingdoms together.
Yeah.
And that was Ferdinand and Isabella.
Yep. Exactly.
The ones that set Columbus off, because their empire was growing huge at that time. And
yeah. So before
they just kicked the Muslims out.
Yeah, before the Muslims,
sent
the
him off.
Mongols kind of owned or ran that whole area. They had a big operation that pretty much controlled the Silk Road, right? So not that area down on the peninsula, down in Spain and Portugal and all the islands in the Mediterranean, but the Silk Road. Yeah, the Mongols.
Huh.
So it lasted for 162 years, and it was founded by Genghis Khan in 1206, and it lasted till 1368, and then
because he reached as far as Constantinople and whatnot.
yeah, exactly. At the fall of Constantinople, the Ottoman Empire took over, and
that's
so this is kind of what urged Christopher Columbus to figure out this route to a different route to India. Is he at the time when the Ottoman Empire came in and took things over, they said, "Hey, we're not going to let you guys trade anymore on the Silk Road." They didn't like Christians at all.
No.
So they weren't going to let them get through there. But the Mongol Empire
had just gone through several hundred years of crusades.
Yeah, exactly.
All the rest.
And so they were probably pretty fed up by that point, right?
I'm sure everybody's just ready to at each other's throats at that time.
So now we've set the stage. So let's talk about the life story
and
of
to this
Christopher. Yeah, they're still
hasn't resolved.
So his father was a fellow named Domenico Colombo, and he was a wool weaver who worked in Genoa, and he owned a cheese stand, and young Christopher Columbus worked there. So I'm looking over at you, and you're kind of, it's a surprise a little bit, because you imagine most people sailing the seas that day and getting all sorts of financing from the crown. Most of them you'd think were born into a decent amount of wealth.
Mm-hmm.
But he was kind of the exception. He was really a self-made man, right?
Interesting.
So
he had dreams.
He did. He had big aspirations. Yeah. So
cool.
Like I said, yeah, his father owned a cheese stand, and
I was gonna say on a long voyage you need cheese.
That's true.
That's a natural.
So his mother was Susanna Fontanarosa, and I don't know. She probably just raised the family, but I just thought I'd mention her because obviously those kids weren't growing up just with a cheese stand raising them.
No.
He had three brothers: Bartholomew, Giovanni, and Pellegrino. And
Pellegrino.
Yeah. Oh, Giovanni Pellegrino was his whole name. That was one brother, and Giacomo
started the water empire, the bottled water empire.
Pellegrino?
Yeah,
is that a brand now?
I think so. I don't know.
That's hilarious. I'm more of just a Dasani guy, or Kirkland signature
Arrowhead.
Water. Yeah, exactly. Arrowhead's good.
Yeah,
Dasani kind of has a weird aftertaste.
It does. It's the chlorine in it or something. I don't know.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
whatever tap in LA County they're pouring from for the.
Is that where that comes from?
I don't know.
Bartholomew, Giovanni Pellegrino, and Giacomo, and they also called Giacomo Diego. So the two things you have to remember is Bartholomew, he's a pretty significant brother, and then Giacomo, that his name was also Diego because later on Christopher Columbus would name his own son Diego.
Okay.
Okay.
So did those brothers go with him on his voyages, or?
Bartholomew did.
Okay.
Bartholomew ran a cartography workshop in Lisbon for at least part of his adulthood. As Matt, I don't know if Bartholomew went on a voyage.
So he was a map maker.
Yeah,
No.
with Christopher, but I know for a fact that he was one of the key factors in trying to get the financing from the crowns.
Oh. Okay.
And later on, he actually sailed up. So when Christopher Columbus launched this whole campaign, he got turned down by a couple different, countries, monarchies, and eventually he said, "Hey, Bartholomew, will you go up and plead to the English crown for money for me?"
Wow.
And on the way up, Bartholomew his ship got accosted by pirates, and he never made it to England. But it worked out okay because Christopher, before that happened, was able to get the financing from the Spanish crown. So,
I like it.
yep, he. Let's see.
The ships weren't very big either.
No.
I mean, at the time they were, but compared to some modern day vessels, they were tiny.
Yeah.
Those
The floating cities we have now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even before the classical Spanish galleon, really, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, they were tiny.
Yeah.
They were just basically boats.
Do you know the Nina and the Pinta? Those were just nicknames. They weren't their actual names.
No, didn't know that.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. That's just something I stumbled upon.
Huh.
I can't remember what their names were, but
maybe the Nina was the smallest one, the baby ship. Nino.
Yeah, they had nice names though, and the crew members just started referring to them as that.
Okay.
And that's what it went down as in history. But the Crown actually, when they commissioned them, had actual nice names.
Yeah.
Like Santa Maria.
Yeah.
Right. So Christopher Columbus, he went to sea for the first time at 14 years old, according to his own journal. When he was 19, his family moved down the road to Savona, where his father took over a tavern. And when he was 22, he began working as a merchant for some of the wealthy families of Genoa. Genoa is a city, just to give people an idea, like Italy looks like this big leg with a boot on it. If you imagine in the top left of the leg, kind of where the knee would be, that's where Genoa is.
Okay. So northern Italy.
Yep. And then during
Up
the
there
time,
on the border.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Right in northern Italy by the border. So during this time, he was, like I said, he was working as a merchant. He was sailing out with trades for the wealthy families in Genoa. And he sailed to England, Ireland, Spain, and some people believe that he also could have sailed to Greenland, but it's not confirmed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
He was eventually shipwrecked in Portugal, where he found and married his wife, Filipa Perestrello, or Perestrae. I think you're
and this
supposed
is Bartholomew
to
or Chris?
This is Chris.
This is
We've
Chris.
been talking
Okay.
about Chris, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, I forgot to move off that Bartholomew tangent.
Okay.
And then, sorry, her name was Filipa Prestrel. Oh, I'm botching this pronunciation, but it's a hard one. Moniz, but let's just call her Filipa.
Okay.
And she was the daughter of a Portuguese noblewoman, and he had one son with her that he named Diego. So that's where Diego comes in. And then while he was trading along the west coast of Africa, he came home to find out that his wife had died.
Mm.
So this was kind of everything leading up to before he started working on getting a commission or getting funding for traveling to the Indies.
Yeah, people didn't used to live very long.
No.
You reached 40. Something was weird. You were an old man by the time you were 35 years old in those days.
Yeah, he lived quite a while. Christopher did. So this is an interesting thing that back in the day, it wasn't like now where if you go on a cruise ship, for example, or a crabbing vessel or something, and you're out in the ocean, you can still get on satellite communications.
Right.
You can still get a message that would say, "Hey, your wife is in the hospital," and then you'd hop on a helicopter that would come pick you up, and you could get back and be there for that. But back then,
you're just out there for weeks or months at a time, and you don't know the news till you get back to port.
Yeah,
man,
just a different way of living. I mean, the world.
You're scanning the faces in the crowd when you get back into port, and she's not there. That's horrible.
Yeah,
man.
It's tough.
Oof.
So that was a lot of history.
Yeah.
I think it is time for a game before we jump into the voyage to
on
America.
That note. All right.
On that note, yeah.
Cool.
Okay. This game, back by popular demand, I had a lot of people say that this was their favorite game that we've played so far. So this is the ranking game.
Ah,
So we played it a few times, right? Pretty much I'm going to give you 5 things and then a criteria for those things, and you're going to rank them 1 through 5. So here's the criteria. Which countries throughout history have built the largest wooden ships?
okay.
Okay, here's the 5 countries.
All right.
France, China, Russia, England, the United States.
Okay, so I'm going to say,
So start with which country built the biggest ship and work your way to the smallest ship.
okay. Well, those man of wars that the English put out were just massive.
Yeah, they were.
So I'm going to say Great Britain
Okay.
is the biggest.
Okay.
I'm going to say Russia, because they probably built some big ones to handle all the ice and all that up in the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would assume. And then France. France also had some big ones. They had to compete with the man of wars. So maybe it's UK, then France, then Russia.
Okay.
There was some huge Chinese junks though too.
There were.
Like massive.
Yeah, some of those, they called them treasure ships, were huge.
So I'm gonna put them. Who are the last two?
China and United States.
United States. Okay. Because United States made some massive ones too, but they weren't as big as the man of war. The USS Constitution, wasn't it? Well, that was like probably the biggest wood one we ever built, and it wasn't nearly as big as. So I'm going to say China, and then the U.S. is probably last, because about that time is when we started going to the ironclads. I don't know.
Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah.
This might be your worst botching of any game you've ever played.
Perfect.
I think this is going to surprise you. Here's the order. United States number 1.
Oh, okay.
We build everything bigger here in America.
I guess so, yeah.
You had that as number 5.
So, well, are you going to tell me the names of the ships?
Yeah.
Okay.
England was number 2.
Okay.
You had them as number 1, so that one was pretty close. France was number 3. You had them as number 2.
Yep.
Russia was 4. You had them as 3. And China was 5. You had them as 4.
Okay.
So everything was 1 or so off, except for the United States.
US.
Yeah, that kind of shocked you, huh?
Yeah.
The United States, they built a boat, and as a matter of fact, out of the longest, biggest wooden ships that were ever made, America is like 15 of the top 20.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I believe it.
Okay,
No
the United
problem.
States, Wyoming, it was 450 feet long,
That's a big
and that
ship.
was the largest wooden ship ever made.
Wow.
In England, they had the Columbus. That was 356 feet, so almost 100 feet shorter. And that one only lasted 1 year, so it had its maiden voyage, and on the way back, it sank. It lasted 1 year before it sank.
Good grief.
France had the Trident. That was 335 feet. Russia, the Belania. That was 328 feet. And China built 2 twin steam frigates. They were called the Haiyan and the Yuyan. And they came in at, I actually didn't write down the measurements, low 300s.
So steam frigates. So we're talking mid to late 1800s.
But they were wooden. They were wooden steam frigates.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's about the same era as when China got the railroad and all that other kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So they were becoming industrialized at that point.
Yep.
Yeah,
and then just something that's interesting. I know you've sent me this picture before, and it's a flag from a French ship called Generaux. It's a picture. It's a pretty famous picture. It's all these people standing with this flag on the floor of a hangar, or maybe it's in a museum. I'm not sure. And the flag, it was 52 feet by 27 feet. So it makes these people look tiny.
Yeah.
But it's this really, really beautiful picture. That ship was actually only 183 feet long, and it had a 52-foot flag that it was flying off its mast.
So that's enough to capsize in the wrong wind.
That's a big flag.
Oh, good grief.
Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and take a break here, and when we get back, we're gonna talk about what led to the first voyage and then the actual voyage itself.
Okay, so I failed that game.
Yeah, that was pretty rough.
Okay, all right, good.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Good.
Today, I want to talk to you about Second Amendment customs. Make sure you don't skip this because not only do they make some incredible firearms, but also they were willing to support this podcast while it's still relatively new. Just like Christopher Columbus on his maiden voyage, us here at Half Sober History are trying to figure out this podcast thing. And Chance, the owner of Second Amendment Customs, trusted us with advertising his amazing product. Second Amendment Customs is the #1 gun shop for Utah residents. If you're in the market for a firearm that will really stand out, head over there and Chance will find the perfect gun for your needs, customize it with pretty much any accessory, and then give it the most beautiful Cerakote or laser engraving job you could imagine. One of the best parts is they will work with your budget. They have options up and down the cost spectrum. They also sell ammo and standalone accessories. So, whether you want your current firearm to receive a serious upgrade, or you want to start from scratch and build the custom gun of your dreams, reach out to Second Amendment Customs. I'll link their website in the show notes. And now, back to Half Sober History. So, Christopher Columbus.
Yeah.
The first voyage. The Mongol Empire, we talked about them earlier. They were around for a while. They allowed Christians to trade on the Silk Road. Then Constantinople fell. The Ottoman Empire comes into power in 1453, and the Silk Road was closed to Christian traders.
Mm-hmm.
So his whole idea was he wanted to develop a plan to seek a Western Sea passage to the East Indies.
Open up a new trade route.
Exactly, yeah. Open up a new trade route, and he wanted to
bypass the Ottomans. Yep.
And profit from the spice trade. I mean, there was a ton of money to be made there, right? So based on all of his sources, Columbus estimated that the distance was 2,400 nautical miles from where they were in Spain.
Okay.
Around the globe to India. 2,400.
He forgot about that continent that was in the way.
Yeah, well, and it was a good thing too because he misjudged it, and the only thing that actually saved him on their voyage was just the fact that there happened to be a continent there.
Yep.
The actual distance from Spain to India is about 10,600 miles.
Okay.
So they were
only a quarter of the way.
Yeah, there were no ships at the time that could carry enough food and water for that distance.
Well, it's a good thing there's all those islands at the mouth of the Gulf of Mexico. Sorry, the Gulf of America.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good thing all those islands are there.
Real quick.
Otherwise, he would have sailed all the way to Mexico.
That's true.
And probably got fed up and turned around by then. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
So you hit, San Salvador, Bahamas?
Yeah, Bahamas.
Yeah.
That's just a funny thing to point out that out of all the things we're worried about right now with the economy and, the Epstein files, let's just go ahead.
You're still talking about the Epstein files? What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with me? Nothing ever happened about him.
Isn't that what he asked?
That is what he said.
Yeah.
And
you're still talking about that?
The focus is to do something like rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Who cares?
Who cares? Who cares? It's the Gulf of Mexico.
Such a joke.
Yeah.
So first he talked to King John II of Portugal, and he turned him down. Then he talked to Ferdinand II and Isabella I, who we talked about earlier, of Castile, and they were kind of the ruling body of Spain, pretty much.
Right.
They ruled over Iberia, and Iberia is the name of the peninsula, right? But they, for all intents and purposes,
Portugal and
exactly, it includes
Portugal,
Portugal,
France.
Yep,
right.
All the islands just off the coast of Spain. And they both turned him down because their advisors said that the distance was much greater than Columbus assumed. And fast forward,
and they
were right.
Yep.
Yeah,
they were listening to their advisors and scientists, and they were right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he tried to make a deal with Henry VII of England, like I talked about earlier. He sent his brother Bartholomew, who's the cartographer, but he was captured by pirates en route. Finally, in 1492, Columbus was 41 years old. Wow. So remember, he started sailing when he was 14, came up with this plan. So it took him 11 years of campaigning to finally get a country to sponsor him. So Columbus,
like I said, nothing happens quick back then.
No, it doesn't. Columbus finally received backing from Ferdinand and Isabella of Spain. So
fantastic.
What's your thoughts up to this point?
Yeah, I mean, you got to really, I think about all the dreams that I've had in my life, and you know, I don't know if I've had one that's lasted longer than a couple of years, let alone 11. So that's man, that was something that was gnawing at the back of his head for a long time.
Yeah.
Good grief. Good thing it was.
Yeah, but sometimes God also looks at us and he says, I guess you guys aren't ready for that yet.
Sure.
And it takes us a while to get our butt into gear. Or, I mean, it's the same thing with this podcast. I'd never thought about doing a podcast up to this point in my life. I'd never even crossed my mind. And all of a sudden one day I just thought, well, what the heck? Let's give it a go.
Yeah.
And it's
Let's learn some stuff.
working out decent so far.
Yeah. I dig it.
I
dig it.
All righty. So he finally set sail after 11 years of campaigning. His first voyage, it lasted 5 weeks. They set off in August of 1942, and they made land.
Or 1492.
1490. That's so funny.
Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492.
1942. Don't you know America was discovered during World War II in 1492?
That's right.
As the old rhyme goes.
We're already here. That's great.
Well, the Japanese discovered America about that time.
Yeah. They did.
Over in Hawaii, if I remember right. Alrighty, so let's see. In 1492, they made landfall in the Bahamas on October 12th.
I was actually out there last year, and I didn't know that's between all those islands of the Bahamas. They all kind of argue back and forth as to which one was the one that Columbus stepped on very first. And a couple of the islands have their own monument. This is the spot where he showed up.
Really?
Yeah, but it's pretty widely understood that it was, I think San Salvador or something like that. It means like Holy Savior or something.
Where he showed up.
The actual island where he showed up, because he was thanking his Savior for, thank you for getting us here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was naming the
He
islands.
was a very, especially in his later life, a very religious man. But imagine if you're one of the indigenous people there. I mean, you wouldn't want that to happen to you, would you?
No.
Would you?
No, I think they were the Lucayan people or something. They were the Indians that were living on those islands.
Yeah, I actually put it down in my notes here. I'm going to find it in just a second, but
they had a bunch of caves down in the lava rock and just cool stuff.
Yeah,
they were an interesting culture, and they were all at war with each other as well during that time.
Yeah, constantly.
Because I remember a story. He showed up and he was asking the natives because he saw a bunch of wounds on them. He said, "What's going on here?" And they explained to him that, well,
that was his very first impression of the people. His ship pulls up, he takes her ass to shore, and he's
like, why are they all covered in wounds and whatnot? Yeah, so I don't know how he's communicating, but somehow they were explaining to him that another island over, they had come over and tried to take them.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. He was communicating with them because they picked up on their language pretty quickly.
Or were they speaking Italian or Portuguese or Spanish?
Spanish.
They were speaking Spanish. Okay.
So here's the journal entry. I'm going to read this verbatim because I think it's pretty interesting. This is 2 separate entries, but here's what he said about the people. They should be good and intelligent servants, for I see that they say very quickly everything that is said to them. So they're parroting.
Yeah, they're repeating everything.
And I believe that they would become Christians very easily, for it seemed to me that they had no religion. The people here are simple in warlike matters. I could conquer the whole of them with 50 men and govern them as I please.
Wow.
The people here are simple in warlike matters. He repeated that for some reason in his journal. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that sounds right. I mean, they were just existing. They were just having a good life out there, and every once in a while, another tribe would show up and try to take all their beads and their fish and stuff. And,
they weren't, like we talked about earlier. They weren't particularly for their area. They could have been advanced, but on a world scale.
Well, and they really didn't have travel. I mean, so you show up on an island, you're there. This is your home now.
Exactly.
I mean, they had some little boats, I guess, to get around here and there, but nothing that's going to make it all the way to Cuba, probably even.
Yep.
I don't know.
So Christopher Columbus, he pretty much tells them, thanks very much. It was wonderful. You are all great. And he tries to set up a little colony there and then packs up from there and keeps on exploring the area, right? So he,
Had to resupply.
yep, yeah, they did. On the first trip, they hit the Bahamas, very first. Then after that, Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, and Venezuela, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama. So he got around.
Wow.
He's pretty much,
He hit
yeah.
the
So he
whole,
pretty much makes landfall,
then
and
hit the whole
then
area.
he's thinking we're in India, so I want to go and see where are the people that I can trade with, because he
And
kind
where's
of
all
had
the spices?
yeah, exactly.
Sure.
He kind of had an understanding of what India was like. So you got to think at some point he was
But
thinking to himself,
he hadn't seen an Indian yet. He just knew they were dark complected. He didn't know
exactly.
the difference. Or maybe, who knows? Maybe there were Indian people that had gone up, through. I don't know. He probably didn't really know what they looked like if he assumed those were Indians.
Yeah,
They look completely
I
different.
have to imagine.
Completely different.
So here's an interesting one for you. In 1503, Christopher Columbus got stranded in Jamaica, which was one of the other places that he explored.
So 10, 11 years later.
Yep. On his fourth voyage, because his ships were completely rotted out by shipworms.
Wow.
So he showed up totally termite infested, pretty much, and they just got shipwrecked in Jamaica. So there's an interesting story with that.
Falling apart. They're not going to make the voyage back.
No, definitely not. They'd have to make landfall and do some repairs, or probably intentionally beach their boat. So Columbus, later on in life, he finally settles in Sevilla. Sevilla. I think it's pronounced like that, and I should know because that's actually where I took my wife when I took her out there to propose to her.
You probably ought to know how to pronounce that one.
I sure hope she doesn't listen to this episode. That's going to be embarrassing.
Well, she'll let you know if you got it wrong.
I'm sure she will. Yeah. In a nice way.
In a nice way. Sure.
So in 1505, after his final voyage, he settles in Spain. And pretty much when he initially sailed, he got promised by the crown that he would be able to get 10% in perpetuity of anything that was any trade that was established with the new land. So he should have been
pretty good deal.
Yeah, he should have been one of the richest people alive.
Except he wasn't.
They didn't uphold their promise.
Why is that, I wonder?
What do you think?
Well, maybe he didn't come back laden with treasure.
Maybe.
Like it all had to be dug for, or had to be negotiated with the natives for.
Well,
and he was just more of exploratory. It was later, much later, voyages and whatnot that actually started the silver trade in Colombia and stuff like that. It was much later.
All the plantations.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
Oh yeah, yeah. All the what were they growing? What was the main cash crop?
I guess tobacco, probably.
Tobacco and sugarcane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting thing that he really did everything he was supposed to do to be able to have a claim to the promise. And one of the things was that he had to be the first person, not only the first vessel, but specifically Christopher Columbus had to be the first person to sight the new land. So he had one of the guys who was up on the crow's nest in his ship come down to him and say, "Hey, I've sighted the new land." And he said, "Hey, we need to put in the ship's log that I saw a light on the new land
as per my agreement with the crown."
Exactly.
I had to be the first one to see it.
So he really did have a claim to it, and for whatever reason, they just didn't feel obligated once he got back to Spain to uphold their promise to him.
That's pretty crummy.
Pretty crummy. Columbus, he made pleas to his crown to defend his personal privileges and his family's, and then on May 20th, 1506, he was 54 years old. Columbus died, and he was buried originally in Spain, and then his body was taken to the Caribbean and then eventually brought back to Spain.
Wow, we got to take him on tour one more time. Huh?
I guess so.
Good grief!
Yeah, and he was buried in the Sevilla Cathedral in Sevilla.
Okay, so that's probably the only reason why he went back, was to assure that they're going to honor his claims. Otherwise, he might have just stayed there. And
he did want to be buried
in Italy.
No, Sevilla, Spain.
Oh,
he wanted to be buried in the Caribbean, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, that was in his wishes.
So they didn't even honor his death wishes where he wanted to be buried. They still brought him back.
Maybe I got this backwards. Maybe
Uh-huh.
they took him to the Caribbean, and it was in his wishes that he wanted to be buried in Spain.
Oh, okay.
So
maybe.
they did get it right.
Huh. Wonder how you'd pack a body
Back then. You probably just let it rot.
for all that heat,
I'm sure you just let it rot.
or pack it in salt or something.
Or in a casket. I don't know.
Probably pack it in salt.
Yeah, that makes sense. If they were trying to keep the body in a good state.
Well, yeah. Otherwise, yeah, that'd be pretty horrible.
Yeah. But if it was just in a casket, a closed casket, then you'd never have to worry about it. You're just taking the casket.
Yeah, but how well were they sealed back then? I don't know. I don't know.
I get the point you're making. It probably stunk. I'd have to imagine, even if it wasn't salt, which does a pretty good job.
They didn't have embalming back then.
No.
Or maybe everybody just stunk so bad anyway that they didn't even notice a rotting body.
You got to imagine it stunk pretty bad on those ships.
Yeah.
Where most of the people would end up dying to,
dysentery,
tuberculosis, whatever.
Yeah. They were not the most sanitary conditions, that's for sure.
Yeah. All right, here's one for you.
Okay.
We got the last game, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about some people, some significant people who actually came after Christopher Columbus and the other explorers.
Cool.
And then, we'll wrap it up there. So here's the final game. We got 2 truths, 1 lie.
All right.
You did pretty good at this one last time.
Yeah, but I've been watching the rest of the games today.
You guessed Columbus.
Okay, I got that.
That was my fault. I think. Oh, we'll have to listen back and see.
Yeah,
I may have been the one who messed that up. We'll see.
I don't know.
Okay, here we go. 2 truths, 1 lie.
Okay.
During his 4th voyage. Okay, sorry, I can't talk apparently. During his 4th voyage, stranded in Jamaica, which we talked about earlier, and running low on food, Christopher Columbus used an almanac to predict a total lunar eclipse. He scared the local indigenous people by telling them God would take away the moon if they didn't feed his men. And when the moon darkened, they immediately brought him food.
Okay.
That's number 1. Number 2, on Christmas Eve in 1492, Christopher Columbus's flagship, the Santa Maria, ran aground off the coast of Haiti because a tired regular steersman left the helm in the hands of a cabin boy while the crew slept. The ship grounded on a sandbank reef, and it became a total loss. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3. During a violent storm on his first return voyage, Columbus, who was then 41, suffered an attack of what is believed to be tuberculosis. This would cause temporary blindness and eventually permanent partial blindness in his right eye that lasted until his death.
Okay. I'm going to say truth, lie, truth.
Truth, lie, truth. So the first one was a truth that they were stranded in Jamaica. They told him if you didn't feed the men, the moon would go away. And he used an almanac to predict the lunar cycles.
Maybe.
That's true.
Okay.
You got it.
Okay.
That is a truth. The second one, on Christmas Eve, on the flagship, the Santa Maria, it ran aground off the coast of Haiti because a tired regular steersman left the helm in the hands of a cabin boy. The ship became a total loss when they ran aground. That's also true.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's one that you wouldn't think, but apparently this guy was like on the brink of falling asleep if he left it in the hands of a cabin boy. Or maybe, because it was Christmas Eve, he just thought, it's the most wonderful time of the year.
Maybe they were celebrating with some extra rum that night or something. I don't know.
You'd have to be really gone in the head to leave it to a cabin boy.
No, not necessarily. I mean, the cabin boys, they were learning how to be sailors themselves, so I'm sure
that's true.
Here, take the wheel a minute, kid.
That's true, but I just think about the consequences back then. That for something like that, it had to have been either lashes or death or something really bad.
Yeah, good grief, total loss.
Yeah,
had to hit some reefs pretty hard or something.
So I mean, I imagine the circumstances. He was just celebrating a little bit too hard, having a little bit of fun, and anyways, number 3 here. That was the false one. On the return voyage, he suffered an attack of what was believed to be gout, and he never went blind. That was just
partially blind in his right eye, and I never. Okay,
no.
All right.
So that was just something that came out of the old dome here.
A little bit of gout on his way home, huh? Well, and gout can be pretty crippling. So
yeah, it can. Yeah. So can tuberculosis. I mean, at the time when they didn't have penicillin, really, people would get some thing in their lungs and they would that'd be the end.
Yeah, and that's not exactly a dry climate down there either, so that could have been real.
Exactly.
All right, cool.
So that's 2 truths, 1 lie.
Good one.
We're gonna talk now about some people that went to America after Columbus.
All right.
Some interesting guys here. So Amerigo Vespucci, you know about him?
Yeah, and I thought my whole life, maybe I was taught this, that America is called America after Amerigo Vespucci.
It is.
But I've been told that that's not actually accurate. But I don't remember why, so I can't tell you the counter argument there.
I just looked it up today,
Okay.
and it said that the Americas are named after him.
Okay.
So there may be some counter argument that exists. I just
Something
didn't
to
come
do
across
with
it.
yeah, and I don't know how valid the story I heard was, but I'm going to go with the Amerigo Vespucci story is why it's
Yeah.
called America.
He was an Italian explorer.
Okay. Another Italian.
Yeah, he was an Italian explorer, but he actually was commissioned, I think, by Italy.
Okay.
So he participated in voyages to the New World between 1499 and 1502, and he was credited with recognizing the land Columbus discovered as a new continent, not
India.
Asia.
Okay.
And the Americas are named
So
after
that's
him.
why he was able to name it, because
Exactly.
Hey, this isn't India.
Yeah, and Christopher Columbus went to his deathbed thinking that he had found India.
Oh man!
That entire time he said, I haven't seen anything that would deter me from my thought that this is actually India.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So yeah, Amerigo Vespucci.
Yep.
Okay.
Number 2 here was Ferdinand Magellan.
Mm-hmm.
He was Portuguese. He led the first expedition to sail around the world. He died in the Philippines. He did discover, or was credited with discovering, the Philippines out of Europe.
Right.
So the first European to discover the Philippines.
Okay.
But his crew member, who was Juan Sebastian Elcano, finished the journey for him.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Hernan Cortez. He was a Spanish conquistador. He led the expedition that caused the fall of the Aztec Empire and claimed large parts of mainland Mexico for Spain.
He's the one that had the king filling up the room with gold and treasure.
So there's always
Cortez?
that is Cortez.
Yeah.
There's always a claim, but it's never been verified.
Right. And then he killed him anyway, or whatever.
Exactly.
Filled up the room.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the legend.
Not Cortez, Columbus, on some of his later voyages, he was asking the people, like, hey, I see that you guys are wearing these golden ornaments and earrings. Where's the gold? Where's the source of the gold? And they kept laying down these fables pretty much, and they never found it.
Right. They spoke of cities of gold.
Exactly.
Blah, blah, blah.
So there could have been, and they were just lost somehow, because you got to think,
Still could be.
There
out
could
there
be
in those jungles somewhere, buried. Yeah, still could be.
You got to think that if it's there, it would have been found by now with all the LiDAR, and unless it's underground.
You would hope so. But,
yeah.
Unknown. So yeah, then there was who was another one? Pizarro. Who was the guy that Ponce de Leon? He was the one that went up into Florida and explored the whole southern U.S.
I'm not sure. I know.
Looking for the Fountain of Youth.
Yeah.
That was Ponce de Leon, wasn't it?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think so.
That's a little lesson for me.
Yeah, there was a bunch of them. I mean, it just kind of really opened things up and just started going.
The only other two that I have here are John Cabot. He was English, and he was the first one to sail to the coast of North America. And he's the one
that landed in Virginia,
Newfoundland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where was who were the ones that Jamestown?
Are you talking about the Pilgrims?
Before the Pilgrims.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I thought that was Cabot. Maybe not.
No, that was John Smith.
Oh, that's what it was.
John Smith, I think.
They founded Jamestown, and then it went belly up.
Yeah.
They didn't make it through the winter or something.
No, John Smith was the guy who came over with the Pilgrims, I think.
Before the Pilgrims.
Before the Pilgrims.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Alrighty. And the last one here is Jacques Cartier. He explored St. Lawrence River and led claims to Canada for France.
Okay. Yeah, so everybody got in on it. The French, the English.
Yeah.
Spanish, Italians, Portuguese.
Well, of course. I mean, they hear about...
Where were the Germans? They weren't interested.
They weren't really a seafaring people, though.
No,
I don't think.
Not much. Just for a little bit of trade, that's it.
Although some of Germany they do have sea line in Germany up in the northwestern portion of
I
it.
guess they were just happy with what they had.
I guess so.
Weren't trying to become a superpower at the time.
Yeah, maybe not.
I don't know.
I mean, they were definitely around.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, just maybe not focusing on seafaring as much.
it wasn't even Prussia then, was it?
I'm not
Wasn't
sure.
even known as Germany yet.
Yeah, that's true. It
Yeah.
wasn't.
Interesting.
Yeah, not by that point.
Wow.
So
Yeah, everybody just started showing up over here, and the rest is history.
yeah, that cabin boy story gives me an absolute kick. I think that's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah, it's
Columbus
horrible.
probably
It's
walked down
horrible.
and was like, "Geez, thanks a lot, kid. You stranded us here."
Poor kid.
Yeah. So, and
Man.
then Columbus too. He shows up to the Bahamas, and he's pretty much telling all the people. I guess that doesn't make sense yet. What you're seeing here, what you're seeing there, but I mean, for them, it's really confusing. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah. Good grief. Can't even imagine. Can't even imagine what that was like.
No.
Good grief. But yeah, so then fast forward a few years, so after the conquistadors started showing up, that's when they really started hitting Colombia hard because that's where all the silver was coming from.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays it's known as cocaine, but
Yeah.
no, but at the time, that's where the largest silver deposits in the world were.
Actual silver.
Actual
Oh, okay.
silver.
Okay.
Yeah, they were pulling silver out and putting it on their galleons and sending it back to Spain. And that's what financed Spain as becoming such a huge superpower.
Interesting.
Silver from Colombia.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they'd have these big fleets of galleons going back and forth.
So I know a lot of
Just
those
getting
countries
silver.
down there still, some of the countries speak Spanish and some of those countries speak Portuguese in relation to
Right.
who originally made landfall there.
Yep.
And I think Brazil is the big one that they showed up in Brazil and the Spanish were trying to take it over by force. And the Portuguese showed up and they said, instead of trying to take it by force, they they came in and started giving them gifts. They
Oh.
gave them like mirrors and just things that they didn't have at the time.
Interesting.
And they were able to win them over through gifts but eventually enslave them.
Right.
You know, enslave all the people there.
Yeah, so the end goal was the same, but the method was different.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, I mean, originally, whenever anyone thinks of transatlantic slave trade, they think of it as the opposite direction. They think of Africa coming to the Mediterranean or
Which
America.
they did pull a lot of Africans over. That's why
Yeah.
there's
Oh,
so many
absolutely.
black people. And,
100%. I'm just saying
Caribbean.
that early on in the game, it was
Yeah.
kind of the other way around. They were taking all these indigenous people and shipping them back over to Europe.
That's that too. But also, like the people in the Bahamas, they pretty much grabbed all of them out of the Bahamas and took them down and put them on the plantations in Cuba
Yeah,
and enslaved them down there.
yeah,
So they pretty much wiped out an entire culture in the Bahamas, in other words. So those people, those Lacayans or however you say it, they eventually mixed their blood with the black slaves and some of the Spanish people. So that made your modern day people that live in Cuba and whatnot.
huh.
Yeah.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
They're
very
a mix of three different definite lines,
Yeah, I understand what you're saying because some of those islands, it's very interesting how you go from one island to another one that nautically isn't geographically, it's not far away at all.
Right, and you're
But on
an
one
entirely
island,
different race of people.
completely different. One island, they'll be very, very dark skinned people, and the next one over, they almost look like
in
just
Jamaica,
Hispanics.
yeah, like Jamaica and Haiti, for example, those are definitely Africans.
Yeah,
You go up to Cuba, they're a little bit lighter skinned.
yeah,
because they got more of that Indian blood in there, along
Yeah,
with
that's
the
true.
black and the Spanish. Kind of interesting. Another note: so these big giant treasure fleets that were going back and forth, and they were also pulling it out of once they started working up into North America too, they were pulling out of mines around here too.
yeah,
So they had these big mule trains that would take all the gold and silver out to the coast. They'd load it onto these galleons and they'd sail it around Florida and right back to Spain. But tons of them sunk. Tons of these treasure fleet galleons sunk off the coast of Florida and in the Bahamas. And they found a bunch of them. This is the craziest part. There was one called the Atocha
a treasure ship.
a treasure ship that they found probably 25, 30 years ago. And when I was a kid, I got to go see some of the ingots that they'd brought up
Oh, I bet that
from
was
the
cool.
seafloor. Yeah, some of these silver ingots and just all sorts of treasure and gems, and so
Wow.
cool. Scabbards and yeah. They those treasure fleets were something. They couldn't predict hurricanes like we can now, so
No,
they
that's
just
true.
get caught right out in the middle of them.
Yeah, as a matter of
And
fact,
they're already super heavy, so it's an easy thing for them to sink.
it was either on the third or fourth voyage Columbus set out with 20 ships, I want to say. And of the 20, they were all caught in a hurricane, and I think only like
Wow.
4 or 5 made it out.
Yep.
You know what? Actually, 30 set out and 10 made it through, including the ship Columbus was on.
They didn't know that you're not supposed to sail in November in the Caribbean.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Is the first voyage they went on, they sailed late in the year.
Right.
Yeah,
Probably had something to do with the winds and
I'm sure it did.
trade winds.
I'm sure they had
That's
it
right.
all, graphed out pretty well, but I
Yeah.
mean, that's all just speculation. So,
Right.
what year? So, we're here in Utah, and right up on the hill here, we have a cross that marks the first time that the Spanish came into Utah County.
Yeah. So that was his name was Escalante, Father Escalante.
Okay.
So he was a explorer for the church, for the Catholic Church, Spanish guy. And that he was showing up here probably less than 50 years before the Mormons entered Utah.
Okay, so that was way
Way later.
later.
Yeah, way later. So he was in here. They already had 50 years, maybe 100 years. So they were coming up in here. They were doing some mining operations for the Spanish crown all throughout the
this says 76. So
1776.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was less than 100 years.
Yeah.
Less than 100 years before.
For some reason, I always thought that Spanish were in Utah way before that.
I think they were. He was just the first one that was documented.
Okay, interesting.
For some reason, I don't know. Yeah, because they had mule trains that were coming all the way up here. Not El Paso, Santa Fe. Santa Fe was the regional capital at that time. So they'd pull from all their different mining operations, pull into Santa Fe, and then from Santa Fe they'd take them down to Galveston, loaded on galleons.
Yeah.
Headed for Spain.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't really think about history around here before the Mormons showed up.
That's true.
But yeah, there was an awful lot of goings on to have a Spanish trail, a known Spanish trail in Utah.
Yeah.
Another thing that's cool, another little side note is so when Escalante met the Fremont Indians, there's another weird one. A lot of them had beards and blue eyes.
Interesting.
And he thought that was the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
They were the nicest, meekest people, the original Fremont Indians. They were kind of living in caves out in the West Desert. And but for indigenous people to have beards and blue eyes, like, okay, who'd they meet before me? It was kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah, and then the Indians loved him so much down in the southern part of the state. They knew he was coming through, so they actually carved steps for him to get up a big stone wall in this canyon.
Are they still there?
Yeah, they're under the water in Lake Powell.
Oh.
Yep.
So Lake Powell's man-made, right? Yeah. That came from the Hoover Dam.
Not the Hoover Dam. That's a different Glen Canyon or something. I think that's the dam where Powell is.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so they were so excited that he was coming. They carved a bunch of steps, and he carved his name up there next to, and you can still see it.
Oh, that's cool.
I think it's right above the water line or something. I've heard stories about it. I've never seen it, but yeah, he was just all over the place. But yeah, Spanish really made their mark. Then it wasn't too long after that, another 100 years or so, all of a sudden it was Mexico, and they got away from Spain, and yeah. And now it's United
States.
Watch
The Mask of Zorro if you want a history on that. That's going to give you a real accurate history.
Sure it is. Yeah, the comic book version. A lot of cool history this part of the world.
Yeah,
just in the last 400 or 500 years.
Yeah, we got two options here. We've stayed. Well, let's see. We did a few in the 1700s, 17 and 1800s. Now we're back to the 1400s. So stay tuned to the next episode because I think I either want to jump way further back or way further forward.
Yeah.
Because 5 years ago, that's still history. 2020,
Absolutely.
that's history.
Yep. And
So
boy, we're making it all the time.
yeah,
Never stops.
no, it doesn't.
Nope.
Well, everybody, you got anything else you want to say, Bill?
No, it's a good one. I learned a lot this time, and yeah, what a interesting character, maybe misunderstood character, but I'm sure glad he was a character.
Yeah,
Sure
absolutely.
glad he had a dream and followed it, and otherwise none of us would be here.
Well, definitely misunderstood because now we got Columbus Day. That's a big holiday, and
But they've renamed it. Now it's called Indigenous Peoples Day.
that's right.
Yeah, kind of sad. Kind of sad
Why?
that they
Why did that
renamed things.
happen?
I think because people were mad because he opened the door to enslavement and disease and different things that came along with colonization.
Huh.
I don't know why. I mean,
Well, I
but
don't
that also
think.
brought technology advancement and better ways. I don't know. They were out there cutting out each other's hearts in some of these big Mayan capitals and Aztecs and
Yeah.
cutting off each other's heads, and disease was going on already anyway, and there was war going on.
Yeah, human sacrifice was a big part of their culture, from what I understand.
And
But
Europeans brought civilization.
I don't necessarily think that we should glorify Columbus because obviously, he showed up and immediately started enslaving people, and he just I think he's one of those guys who's probably your typical run of the mill guys at the time, but from our standards today,
Yeah, just because you consider somebody to be inferior doesn't mean you can make them your slave.
100%.
They're inferior, great. Maybe they don't have all the technology that we have, but that's no reason to enslave them. But that just shows you the greed of the empires.
Yeah.
No, we're going to enslave them because that's free labor. Well, you should pay them.
Yeah, the labor. I mean, they
Yeah.
were pretty much taking land that they didn't really. I mean, that'd be like if somebody just showed up in your neighborhood one day and said, "Hey, I'm going to take this corner of your yard and this half of your neighbor's yard." And
Well, people back then, like the indigenous peoples, they didn't consider it their land. They considered themselves to be part of the land.
what do you mean?
That means there was no like ownership. There was our happy hunting grounds over here that are our hunting grounds, but other tribes would come in and take them too. So they just kind of belonged to the land. It wasn't there was no fences, stuff like that.
Mm,
This isn't my acre over here. So for
But
white
isn't
folks to show up and say, "Well, now this is ours," you can see why there'd be a conflict because Indians say, "Well, this doesn't belong to anybody. This is the earth.
yeah,
This is our Mother Earth, our God." And all of a sudden, we're selling it off to each other and pulling all the resources out of it, whereas they were just living off of
yeah,
it. So that's also what comes from civilization. Because now we gotta buy and sell things and pull resources. But the earth is here. It's not a resource. Just like what's going on with the water right now. I mean, that's water that's here. It's for everyone. You can't sell it to people, but they do. They're stealing all the water in the West right now. All of it. They're going to sell it back to us one drop at a time.
mm.
Kind of interesting.
Well, they already are. I mean, I pay for my water.
They already are.
You
That's
pay
what
for
I'm
your
saying.
water.
It's already happening. But it's going to happen a lot worse in the future.
Well, the thing is, we're not buying the water. We're buying the infrastructure that brings the water to us. So, I mean, I make that point, but then I also think about it, and it'd probably be illegal for me to go down to Spanish Fork River and pump water out of the river
Absolutely illegal.
into barrels in my truck.
Absolutely illegal unless you buy water rights, irrigation rights, whatever it is. Now, I'm not saying I don't believe in that because you got to regulate.
Yeah,
Otherwise, this farmer over here has 10-foot tall hemp plants, and this guy over here can't even grow carrots.
yeah.
So you have to regulate it and adjust and all the above. But it has to be fair.
Hmm.
It has to be fair.
I mean, maybe if you own land, if you own property, which nobody does nowadays, because you can pay off your property and you're still going to be paying for your property
Right.
as long as there's a
Try missing the taxes for 3 years and see who really owns it.
Yeah. Yeah, but all I'm saying is I think maybe the landowner should have some right to a portion of water under their land because
They
we all
usually
got
do. That's usually how it goes. You buy an acre of land, you usually get a certain amount of water
in
rights with
county
it.
land.
Right.
I don't know about in the city.
No,
I
yeah, in
don't think I
city.
don't think I live in city land and I don't think I could drop a well right here in my backyard.
No. There's some sort of stipulation. You have to be part of their utility.
Yeah, you can't be independent of
Right.
the local government.
Right.
Kind of concerning.
Well, you better trust your local government.
And I don't.
Who can?
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
Highest bidder.
Yeah.
Who has the money wins.
So there we go.
Yep.
Off the track of history, and now all of a sudden we're
Now all of a sudden we're getting fired up about water. Yeah. But it's it just kind of shows you that okay, back in 1500 they were looking for gold and silver and spices,
Yeah.
and now our basic water, they've turned that into a massive money grubbing resource.
Yeah. I mean those
But it
those
should be
people at the
a
time could
basic human right.
just go to a mountain spring and just get whatever they wanted.
Yeah, I was watching Lawrence of Arabia a while back. And
Okay.
yeah, and in that movie,
That's an old one, right? From like the 50s or 60s
probably like
or
the
something.
'60s.
Okay.
And in that movie, there's a guy drinking out of a well, and another Arab pulls up and shoots him
Oh,
because he was drinking out of his well. So
but that's
it's
on
a
his land. I mean, the issue there is you're trespassing and
yeah, but it's a story as old as time. I mean, hey, you can't be drinking out of my well,
yeah.
or hey, that's around here. Porter Rockwell was keeping some beef cows up at the point of the mountain back in the day, just kind of wild. Let them go out by the Jordan River.
Yeah.
And two brothers were trying to cross the Jordan River. They didn't know who Porter Rockwell was. They didn't know anything about it. And there was this mean bull on the other side preventing them from crossing the Jordan River. So they shot it and took off. And Porter Rockwell found out about it and tracked him down. He was going to kill him. Caught up with him. And he didn't end up killing him. He just made them pay for it.
Yeah.
So it was the principle.
I don't have a problem with that.
Absolutely not. I thought that was kind of a cool story, though.
That's not the guy I'd want coming after me.
No. The old binging angel himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely not. Well, cool, man. Appreciate it. It was a good one.
Yeah. So once again, everyone, we sure appreciate all our listeners. You guys are awesome. Give us a follow on Instagram if you could, and we'd love it if you could give us a rating on Spotify if you're enjoying this. And last but not least, word of mouth is really the best way. So if you could just reach out to somebody that you know that might also find this interesting and recommend that they give it a listen, we'd sure appreciate that as well. Starting from this episode and moving on forward, I'm trying to get these episodes on YouTube as well. So now you can see our faces.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry you guys have to put up with that, but I don't know. Some people just like watching rather than listening. So each their own. Okay, guys. Well, it's been great. Bill, Wild Bill, I always appreciate you, man.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, everyone, and God bless.